This was never random, and it was never small, and it was never just people being weird. What happened to you was strategic, calculated, spiritual, and intentional. They gathered. They whispered. They aligned in back rooms and group chats and side conversations with one shared objective: to make you uncomfortable enough, confused enough, isolated enough that you would remove yourself so they would not have to carry the guilt of pushing you out. They could not fire you from your calling, so they tried to fatigue you from your position. They could not strip the mantle from your shoulders, so they tried to suffocate your spirit until you handed it over yourself. And I need you to hear this with absolute clarity. You did not imagine it. That tension in your chest, that ringing in your ears, that heaviness when you walked into the room and the energy shifted your discernment was not paranoia, it was revelation. You were picking up on a coordinated spiritual resistance that had been activated because your presence was disrupting something comfortable, something compromised, something dark that had grown used to operating unchecked. When you walked in, you didn't even have to speak. Your integrity spoke. Your consistency spoke. Your quiet strength spoke. And for people who were hiding behind performance, hiding behind charm, hiding behind manipulation, your authenticity was an indictment. So the ringleader, the insecure architect of the ambush, felt threatened. Not because you attacked them, not because you competed, but because you existed in a way that exposed them without trying. And envy, when it is not healed, becomes strategy. So they recruited. They triangulated. They told one person a version of you, then told you a version of that person, weaving confusion like a spiderweb until suspicion filled the air. You remember the shift. Conversations stopping mid-sentence when you entered. Smiles that didn't reach the eyes. Invitations that suddenly stopped. Jokes with edges. Cold hugs. Glances exchanged across the room. They wanted a reaction. They needed you to snap. They needed you to defend yourself angrily so they could point and say, "See? That's the problem." But what terrified them most was your silence, your dignity, your refusal to fight in the mud. When you chose peace over performance, when you walked away instead of waging war, heaven recorded that as strength, not weakness. And here is the divine reversal they did not calculate. Once you left, the energy they were directing at you had nowhere to go. Darkness can unite temporarily around a common target, but it cannot sustain unity without one. So the same suspicion they planted around you has begun to turn inward. The same manipulation that bonded them is now eroding their trust in each other. Because evil devours itself when light is removed. And there is someone among them, one person who was swept up, who believed the narrative, who signed off emotionally on your exclusion, who is now waking up. The fog is lifting. They are replaying the conversations. They are comparing what they were told about you with how you actually treated them. They are realizing the ringleader has a pattern. They are noticing the sarcasm, the subtle lies, the way others are now being criticized the way you once were. And conviction is settling in their chest, the way confusion once settled in yours. They are losing sleep. They are scrolling quietly, watching from a distance, stunned that you did not collapse. They expected you to crumble without their validation. Instead, you are still standing, still glowing, still building. And that is dismantling the false story they were fed. You were never the problem. You were the mirror. And not everyone wants to see themselves clearly. This was not rejection. It was relocation. If the environment had stayed comfortable, you would have stayed loyal to people who were loyal to your limitation. So, heaven allowed the pressure to increase until departure became obedience. You were not abandoned. You were extracted. Like Joseph being sold by his brothers only to become prime minister. Like Daniel being thrown to lions only to emerge, vindicated while the accusers fell into their own trap. Like the one who stood silent before a mob shouting accusations while a centurion eventually whispered, "Surely this was righteous." There is always someone who sees after the noise settles. And the scripture over your life has never changed. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Notice, it does not say the weapon will not form. It formed, it gathered, it strategized, but it did not achieve its intended outcome. They meant to erase you. Instead, they elevated you. They meant to humiliate you. Instead, they highlighted you. They meant to bury you. Instead, they planted you. And seeds do not die in darkness, they break open and rise. Now understand this. You must not rush to reconcile prematurely. Curiosity is not repentance. Watching you from afar is not accountability. Let absence do its work. Let silence preach. Let them feel the weight of your missing presence. Because when you left, grace left with you. The peace they thought was normal was attached to your obedience. And now they sit in rooms that feel colder, more chaotic, more tense, because the stabilizing spirit you carried is no longer covering them. Do not lower the boundary to comfort their guilt. If reconciliation ever comes, it must climb over humility and walk through truth. Until then, you move forward. Physically separate, mentally release, spiritually cleanse. Stop rehearsing the betrayal in your head. Every replay reattaches you to what God detached you from. Forgiveness is not permission, it is freedom. Cut the cord. Send back every label they tried to assign. You are not too much. You are anointed. You are not difficult. You are discerning. You are not oversensitive. You are spiritually intelligent. Condemn every word spoken against you. Reclaim your identity. You are chosen, not tolerated. You are appointed, not accidental. You are the head and not the tail. Above only and not beneath. This separation is consecration. You cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. The friction you felt was evidence of growth. Giants outgrow small rooms. Eagles cannot stay in nests. Once their wings strengthen. And the loneliness of transition is not abandonment, it is preparation. In solitude, strategies are downloaded. In quiet, vision sharpens. In isolation, identity solidifies. The same pressure that tried to break you has built muscle in your spirit. You are not limping, you are leveling up. And while you walk forward, heaven is handling what you left behind. Vengeance belongs to God. He is dismantling alliances built on jealousy. He is exposing manipulation. He is troubling consciences. He is turning the hearts of kings. You do not need to text. You do not need to explain. You do not need to clear your name. Your character is your defense. Your fruit is your witness. And there is a table being prepared for you not in the absence of your enemies, but in their presence. They will watch what they tried to sabotage become your platform. They will hear your name honored in rooms they cannot access. They will see doors open that their gossip could not close. And you will not gloat, you will glow. Because this was never about proving them wrong, it was about fulfilling what was written about you before they ever formed an opinion. So now I seal this in the spirit. Every lingering soul tie is severed. Every hook of approval is removed. Every residue of rejection is washed away. Your mind is clear. Your heart is healed. Your discernment is sharpened. You will recognize manipulation before it speaks. You will sense envy before it smiles. You will never again be blindsided by coordinated hostility, because this season trained you. This was boot camp for authority. This was refinement for royalty. They thought they were displacing you, but heaven was positioning you. They thought they were closing a chapter, but heaven was turning the page. And now you step into what was always yours. Not bitter, not broken, but wiser, stronger, unapologetically set apart. Let them talk. Let them watch. Let them wonder. You are sealed. You are covered. You are called. And the same God who saw every whisper, every smirk, every secret meeting, has already written the final verdict over your life. Vindicated, elevated, protected, promoted. Walk in it. Stand in it. Rest in it. It is established. It is irreversible. And it is yours. And now that the dust is settled and the noise has quieted, you must understand what season you have truly stepped into. Because this is no longer about what they did. This is about who you are becoming. The gang up was not the climax of your story. It was the catalyst. It was the ignition point. It was the moment heaven allowed the pressure to reveal the power inside you. You thought you were losing a circle, but in reality, you were shedding a ceiling. You thought you were being excluded, but you were being extracted from a space that could no longer sustain the weight of your next dimension. There are levels of favor that cannot manifest in rooms filled with hidden resentment. There are assignments that cannot activate while you are still trying to win the approval of people who are secretly intimidated by your growth. The attack was confirmation. The resistance was validation. The intensity of the opposition was evidence that you were carrying something of value. Thieves do not break into empty houses. Mobs do not gather around ordinary individuals. The level of coordination against you revealed the level of calling upon you. And now, as you stand outside of that environment, breathing differently, thinking differently, seeing more clearly, heaven is asking you one question. Will you shrink back to what rejected you? Or will you fully embrace what is calling you forward? Because there will be moments of temptation. There will be flashes of nostalgia. The mind has a strange way of romanticizing what once hurt you. You may remember the laughter and forget the manipulation. You may recall the familiarity and forget the subtle warfare. But I need you to anchor yourself in truth. That discomfort was not random. That heaviness was not imagined. That constant need to defend yourself was not normal. You were not designed to live in survival mode. You were not created to constantly decode hidden agendas. Peace is your portion. Clarity is your inheritance. And if you have to constantly question where you stand with people, you are standing in the wrong place. The separation was divine surgery. It cut deep, but it removed infection. It hurt, but it healed. And now, the growth you are about to experience will not require permission from anyone who once doubted you. The same confidence they tried to crush is rising stronger. The same voice they tried to silence is becoming clearer. The same light they tried to dim is becoming brighter. Because pressure produces clarity. Betrayal produces discernment. Isolation produces authority. You are not the same person who walked into that environment months ago. You have been refined. You have been trained. You have been spiritually conditioned to recognize patterns before they repeat. And the one who is waking up among them, their awakening is not for your validation. It is for your confirmation. You do not need their apology to move forward. You do not need their admission of guilt to feel secure. Their realization is simply proof that truth does not die. It may be delayed. It may be buried under noise. But it rises, always. And when it rises, it does not need you to defend it. It defends itself. Now listen carefully. Your next circle will not require you to shrink. Your next alignment will not feel like tension. Your next tribe will celebrate your expansion instead of competing with it. But you must not carry old trauma into new territory. Do not test loyal people with suspicion they did not earn. Do not assume every whisper is a conspiracy. This season was training, not trauma to be recycled. Heal fully. Stand fully. Trust wisely, but do not close your heart. Because the enemy would love for you to become isolated out of fear. But discernment is not fear. Discernment is clarity, without paranoia. And you have earned that clarity. Heaven is upgrading your internal compass. You will sense dishonesty in tone. You will detect insecurity in flattery. You will feel when energy shifts before words are spoken. That is not hypervigilance. That is spiritual maturity. And as you move forward, doors will open that do not require you to fight for entry. Invitations will come that feel peaceful, not pressured. Opportunities will align that match your capacity instead of draining it. Because when God removes you from a toxic alignment, it is never to leave you empty. It is to prepare you for elevation. There is a promotion attached to your obedience. There is provision attached to your departure. There is clarity attached to your separation. The people who once underestimated you will hear about you from a distance. They will watch your name rise in conversations they are not part of, and they will understand, quietly, that they misjudged you. But by then, you will not need their understanding. You will be too focused building what they could not see. This is the shift. This is the upgrade. This is the divine acceleration that follows rejection. What felt like a setback was actually momentum being redirected. What felt like isolation was incubation. What felt like loss was alignment. And now your assignment is simple. Protect your peace, guard your vision, and walk forward without explanation. Let your life speak. Let your fruit testify. Let your growth answer every accusation, because when heaven vindicates you, it does so publicly, undeniably, and without your interference. The narrative has flipped. The tables have turned. The trap has reversed. And you are not just surviving, you are ascending. Keep walking, keep building, keep trusting. The same God who carried you through the ambush is carrying you into abundance. And this time, there will be no mob waiting, only purpose, clarity, and favor, prepared in advance for the one who refused to break. And now, you are entering the phase they never anticipated, the expansion phase, because what they thought was the end of your influence was actually the beginning of your multiplication. When you left that space, you did not shrink, you stretched. You did not lose power, you reclaimed it. The oxygen that once felt scarce is now filling your lungs differently. Your mind is clearer, your prayers are sharper, Your confidence is no longer negotiating with insecurity. And this is where the real transformation begins. Because betrayal, when surrendered to God, becomes propulsion. The very pain that once made you question yourself is now becoming the fuel that clarifies who you are. You are no longer asking, "Did I do something wrong?" You are now asking, "What is God positioning me for?" That shift in perspective is everything. Because victims look backward, but leaders look forward. And you were never designed to remain in a posture of defense. You were built for advancement. What happened to you was a spiritual audit. It revealed who could handle your elevation and who was only comfortable with your limitation. It exposed who celebrated your light and who merely tolerated it. And now that the exposure has happened, heaven is accelerating your growth in ways that would have been impossible in that old environment. You are thinking bigger, dreaming bigger, praying bolder. 10. Your standards are rising. Your tolerance for dysfunction is dropping. And that is not arrogance. That is alignment. Because once you have tasted the clarity that comes from separation, you will never again volunteer for confusion. You will never again sit at tables where you are the topic of whispered conversations. You will never again shrink your voice to keep insecure people comfortable. The Gang Up trained you. It taught you how to stand alone without feeling abandoned. It taught you how to trust your discernment even when others tried to gaslight you. It taught you that silence can be strength and departure can be destiny. And now, as you step further into this new season, something powerful is happening behind the scenes. New connections are aligning. Divine appointments are being arranged. There are people you have not yet met who are already prepared for you, people who will recognize your value without you having to perform for it, people who will protect your name in rooms you are not in, people who will feel peace in your presence instead of competition. Because when God upgrades your environment, He does not replicate the old circle, He replaces it. But you must stay ready, stay healed, stay open. Do not let past betrayal harden your heart. Let it sharpen your wisdom without stealing your warmth. The next level requires both strength and softness, authority and humility, discernment and grace, and you now carry all of it. Meanwhile, in the background of your story, the unraveling continues. The one who orchestrated the campaign against you is losing control. The followers are questioning. The unity built on jealousy is collapsing under the weight of truth, because alliances formed through gossip cannot withstand the light of exposure. And as they slowly realize what they lost, you will be too focused on what you have gained to even look back. That is the ultimate reversal, not that they regret it, but that you no longer need them to. You are not waiting for an apology. You are not waiting for vindication. You are not waiting for acknowledgement. You are moving. And movement is power. Progress is proof. Growth is the loudest response you could ever give. This is the season where your obedience begins to compound. The door you walked away from will close quietly, but the doors ahead will open loudly. The same confidence they tried to fracture is becoming unshakable. The same light they tried to dim is becoming undeniable. And as you rise, you will notice something. Peace feels different at higher levels. It feels earned. It feels sacred. It feels non-negotiable, and you will guard it fiercely. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because now you understand that not everyone who smiles is aligned. Not everyone who applauds is supportive. But the right ones will not require investigation. Their loyalty will feel effortless. Their celebration will feel genuine. Their presence will feel safe. And you will no longer question whether you belong. You will know. That certainty is your reward. That clarity is your promotion. That elevation is your inheritance. So continue forward without explanation. Continue building without permission. Continue glowing without apology. Because what was meant to displace you has positioned you. What was meant to humiliate you has honored you. What was meant to silence you has strengthened you. And the story is not about the gang anymore.